Alright, today we're going to be attempting to do the Mono Fairy type challenge in Pokerogue. The most important thing to start with is of course to choose your starters. I decided to do this challenge on a day that Fluttermane had Pokeross, so obviously I chose Fluttermane as my starter. And with the remaining points, I decided to also bring a Tinkatink. Alright, with Egg moves and a Paradox Pokemon, the first couple of floors were very easy. Even the rival fight was a complete pushover. Floor 10 was also cleared pretty easily with a single flamethrower. And finally I had reached my first gym leader, Charon. Next up we got another rival fight and all I had to do was just spam Psybeam. And floor 30 was just cleared with 2 flamethrowers. I then reached floor 35 and I encountered Team Flare, where the first hard battle of the game began because they had a Houndoom and I did not have a good way to counter that. The literal next floor was a double battle against 2 Breathers, which I just barely managed to defeat on 6 health. And after floor 39 my Tinkatink evolved into a Tinkatuff. And then floor 40 was cleared super easily. On floor 41 we found our first wild fairy type in a Ninetales, so obviously I tried my best to catch that thing, and I did. A couple floors later we found a Vulpix, and while I don't like using duplicate Pokemon, I might as well just have them in my team at the very least as a sacrifice. The literal next floor I found another Ninetales, so my team is looking very diverse right now with only 3 Ninetales. And whoa, would you look at that, Ninetales number 4. I then reached Nessa at floor 50, which was a reasonably easy cakewalk with a Thunderbolt on my Fluttermane. And in the middle of the battle, my Tinkatuff evolved into its final evolution, a Tinkaton. One floor later in the sea, I found myself a Primarina, which is a bit more diverse than 4 Ninetales on the team, so I decided to catch it. And I replaced the still not evolved Vulpix, so now I actually have 6 fairy types on the team. And after catching that thing I found a Mega Bracelet. As of right now I have nothing that can Mega Evolve, but who knows, I might just find something like a Ralts. On floor 55 it was time for the rival again, and all I had to do to win was just spam Dazzling Gleam. Also figuring out that she has a Dino, which will evolve into a Hydreigon, which is absolutely perfectly fine with me in my fairy only challenge. Floor 60 was also very easy to defeat with just a couple of Thunderbolts. On the next 10 floors we fought Team Flare again, but they weren't too hard to beat. And floor 70 was I think the first floor where I actually had a death, because Crabominable one-shot my Fluttermane, so I had to swap the Tinkaton who could finish it. The next 10 floors were very easy to breeze by with my flamethrower, until I reached floor 80 where I had to battle Melanie. Overall she wasn't too annoying, only her Mr. Rhyme gave me a couple of issues because I wasn't ready to lose my Reviver Seed just yet, but in 3 tries I managed to defeat her without having to use the Reviver Seed on my Fluttermane. The next 10 floors were again super easy, not giving me any much trouble, and even the double boss battle I was easily able to beat. Alright, time for another rival battle. Yeah, most of our team being actually weak to fairy and maybe even steel types doesn't make this a whole lot of a challenge yet. Maybe it'll get tougher in the future, who knows. And at exactly floor 100 I managed to find another fairy type in Galarian Rapidash. Now this was a double boss battle where I wanted to catch the weaker boss. So I first had to defeat the Pyroar, which cost me a couple of resets to keep my Fluttermane's Reviver Seed. But after a couple of tries, I was finally able to claim the Rapidash without my Fluttermane fainting once. I then found my way into a temple and Shadow Ball went crazy, and after floor 108 I managed to find myself a Dynamax band, and that maybe would have been helpful if I actually had a Pokemon that could Gigantamax. I then reached floor 110 where I had to battle Fantina. It again wasn't a super tough battle though, as my Pokemon are not really weak to Ghost. Then started to battle some more Team Flare Grunts, which were all beaten rather simply, and then I finally met Lysandre at floor 115. He again was also not a very hard opponent to beat. The only thing is that my Fluttermane fainted again, and because I wanted to save my Reviver Seed I decided to reset, and I managed to beat him pretty easily in just 2 tries. On floor 120 I managed to find myself a Clodsire, which was surprisingly annoying to defeat with his poison moves, but after just 2 tries I managed to save my Reviver Seed and defeat him. I then made my way into the graveyard where Shadow Ball did its thing and the next 10 levels breezed by super easily. Just 1 floor later, on 131, I found a Grimmsnarl, which is a nice fairy type that can even Gigantamax. And finally, I have a team of 6 different fairy types to take on this challenge. With my fairy type team, the Dark-filled Abyss wasn't very hard to defeat, and then I found Marnie at floor 140, and I just clicked Moonblast 6 times to defeat her entire team. At floor 145 it was finally time to beat my rival again, and this time I couldn't super easily breeze through it with Flutter Mane, so I had to actually use some strategy, where Primarina took out to the first 2 Pokemon. Tinkaton took out the next 2. Rayquaza wasn't much of a threat, as of course he is a dragon type, only for me to realize that I put away my Ice Beam Ninetales and I kept my Icy Wind Ninetales. Whoopsie. But she still has so many Pokemon weak to Fairy on our team, it was still not a hard fight to beat. And also the Onix on floor 150 was beaten first try. Then, on floor 153, I encountered a double battle against a Camerupt and a Rhyperior, and without me noticing, this Camerupt did over half health to my Flutter Mane with Earthquake, and I apparently used my Reviver Seed without me noticing. That is one way to lose that thing. And while the Rhyperior on floor 160 did take the life of my Tinkaton, my Flutter Mane was easily able to finish it off. Alright, time for Lysandre part 2, and oh god, he leads with a Flutter Mane. That cannot be good. The stupid idiot that I am tried to keep my Flutter Mane alive so that I wouldn't lose my Reviver Seed, not realizing I already lost it. Yeah, that made this fight super annoying very unnecessarily, because this Goodra was a way too annoying tank to deal with, but I did manage to actually defeat Lysandre without losing my Flutter Mane. And then, at floor 170, just 5 floors after Lysandre, I had to battle Winona, and I would really like to have a word with the developer at Pokerogue, who decided to give us a gym leader 5 battles after a team leader. Like, why is that a thing? I don't get healed in between, my Pokemon were half death. This is very annoying. And the absolute idiots that was playing this game still tried to keep the Flutter Mane alive to keep the Reviver Seed, which I did manage to successfully do, but still, I still had not noticed that thing was gone. Then, at floor 179, I finally found the map just 3 floors before the Elite Four starts. Are you kidding me? That thing is practically useless now. I'm gonna be able to get 5 encounters with this map. And after Heatmore was defeated, it was time to prep myself for the Elite Four. Starting with Marnie, indicating I'm gonna be battling the Galar Elite Four, and I find it very hilarious how I have to battle Marnie twice in this run with a fairy type team. I'll take it, I just find it kind of odd. Next up is Nessa, and I had Thunderbolt, so yeah, wasn't super hard to get through. Next up was Alistair, and I had Shadow Ball, so you can fill in how that ended. Yep, I managed to make my way through his entire team, only for his final Curse-Lad to defeat me, and I decided to reset the game, and you can guess why, to keep my Reviver Seed! But, well, on the second try I managed to defeat him without any deaths at all on any of my Pokemon. Alright, time for Raihan, the Dragon-type leader, with my fairy team. Alright, all that's left in this Pokemon League is Leon, and after just a simple 3 attempts, I beat Leon with only a singular Pokemon dying. Next up, we get to the Paradox floors, and once I found Iron Valiant, I actually really tried to catch this thing, but it was just way too annoying to actually catch, and I couldn't do it, so I just decided to go with the team that I had. And next up, it was time to prepare for the rival battle. Let me tell you, this rival battle was really annoying and took me a lot of attempts to get through. Ha, no, who am I kidding? She has so many Pokemon weak to Fairy, it's just sad honestly. And what I'm showing you right now is only my second attempt at the rival fight. Alright, after beating 3 Roaring Moon, really? 3 of them? They're quite weak to Fairy. Okay, after defeating 3 Roaring Moon and 1 Iron Valiant, I finally made my way over to Eternatus. And let me tell you, this was by far the hardest fight of the run. His poison types were really no joke against my Fairy types. And even my Tinkaton, who is immune to poison, is a very weak to Flamethrower. The first attempt actually managed to make it quite far and got him to incredibly low health, but I knew if I were to just replicate this, I would end up in the exact same situation, so I tried a bunch of different strategies, and after way too many attempts, I finally managed to land on this run. And yes, the stupid My Little Pony, who had contributed absolutely nothing through this entire playthrough, actually managed to get the final blow on Eternatus, and with that, the Mono Fairy type run is completed. Now if you enjoyed watching this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I have another video maybe coming up soon, which is the Electro Monotype challenge. I just want to know how much you guys actually enjoy watching this video. It is not my usual type of content, so I'd really like to get your guys' feedback on this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys again next time for either the Electro Monotype challenge or for some regular shiny hunting again. Anyway, bye bye!